The Sports Source Saturday Kickoff is brought to you by Hearthside Bank and by Madisonville Marine.
I'm concerned Tennessee's going to lay down if things get tough, but everyone around the program saying they're not.
This is not a great development in my mind that Florida's starting to get healthy at a couple spots at the wrong time.
It's not a long journey to go from liquid courage to really cranky.
Yeah,
if you get the fans to turn on them, then that might be a different atmosphere altogether.
Do you know during the 10-game losing streak, Tennessee has turned the football over 19 times against Florida?
In his last 2 games, he's thrown 4 interceptions. That's an interception every 17 attempts. Something has taken him from SEC Joey back to Sun Belt Joey, where he threw a lot of picks.
He's a total X factor, but he's got the ability. And is this the game he's going to put it together? We've seen some other offenses peak against Tennessee's defense.
I just can't help but look at how horrible that offense is and how stupid their play calling is.
The fans start pushing on the bus. One guy tried to relieve himself on the back of the bus.
Good Saturday morning. Welcome into the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. It is Tennessee, Florida Day. The Vols and Gators get it on tonight in Gainesville. We're here to get you ready. Right here, VFL Ollie Lane. Right here, John Wilkerson. Right there, VFL Marlon Walls. Of course, John, you hear Vol Network. Yeah, we hear you everywhere. And of course, 99.1 The Sports Animal. For people in East Tennessee, you can find it online, 991sportsanimal.com.
There you go.
There you go. You find that in the mid-state. All right. First segment of our show, let's just get right into this thing. It's called Setting the Stage, brought to you by Hearthside Bank. They bring you the whole darn show, folks, and the Sports Source Digital Network. These good people, very good people. We've got banks across Kentucky and Tennessee. Look into them. They've been around for, 105 years, which tells you something about their tradition. It's a tradition of trust. If you need somebody to help work with you, personal type banking, one-on-one, where they know what you want to do and they help you get there, that's Hearthside Bank. Find them at hearthsidebank.com. All right, let's dive in. The Vols come in at 7-3, 3-3 in SEC play. The Gators come in at 3-7, just 2-5 in the SEC. In terms of common opponents, Florida beat Mississippi State by 2, while Tennessee beat the Bulldogs on the road in overtime. Florida and Tennessee both gave Georgia good games, but both lost. And while Tennessee blew out Kentucky, Wildcats beat a really banged-up Gator team 38-7 2 weeks ago. As you know, the Vols have lost 10 in a row in Gainesville. Their last win came down there in the first year of the Sports Source back in 2003. This year, a little different. Game is being played in November rather than September. So the temperature tonight will be in the 50s, 60s. Certainly not the heat and humidity that Tennessee usually has to deal with. Will that make it a little bit easier in the swamp? We'll find out. Vols are number 20 in the nation, but they're out of the playoff race still. If the SEC gets as many as 5 or 6 teams in the playoff and the Vols wind up with 9 wins on the season, still a possibility, they could go to a pretty good bowl. They could wind up back in Orlando, which is the best case scenario at the moment. I usually put the injury list in there, but let's just talk about it because it's a lengthy one. You lose Miles Kitselman. He's already been listed as out for this week's game, so you're starting tight end, who is a better run blocker than Ethan Davis, will be filling in for him. Ethan Davis moves up. He's caught 8 passes the last 3 weeks. Behind him, the guy that's moving up, Jack Van Dorselaer, who, of course, remembered for the Oklahoma where it hit him in the face. You look at the offensive line for Tennessee. Wendell Moy got banged up against New Mexico State late in that game because you kept your starters in for a long time. He gets banged up. Peyton Lewis banged up. Along the line, though, you've also got Moy. Jesse Perry didn't play a ton last week because he's got a bad ankle. Sam Pendleton, what I hear, is very banged up. Folks, you got some serious issues, John, in terms of health. Now, Florida, they got a long injury list too, but they're actually getting a few guys back. It will be interesting to see what happens tonight in terms of when they put that final list out there, if there are any guys who make business decisions. I'm interested to see the final injury list for both these teams, who decides to gut it out and who maybe just doesn't play tonight. But it is a big issue to watch for Tennessee.
Yeah, it really is, because you're talking about 12 players out for Florida, 3 that are questionable and 2 that are probable. And for Tennessee, you've got 5 that are out and you've got 2 that are questionable. And And without question, I mean, this is the time of the year. Everybody's got something. If you've played considerable football, there's something that you're dealing with. So, but I think it does come down to exactly the want-to factor. And I do think that both sides have a lot of it going into kickoff. Question is how much of it will still be there, say, after the first quarter.
Great question. And let's take it right there, because a couple of weeks ago on this show, well, last week, we talked about the numbers with Tennessee in their first quarter offense. It is a front-running offense. And I don't mean that's literal. That's not a knock or anything. It's a team that jumps on you early. You have to get the big edge. Ollie, I'm of the belief that if Tennessee leaves the first quarter tonight and they don't have 10 points on the board, it's going to be a long night, because they usually build a lead and then the other guy spends the rest of the time trying to catch up to it. If you don't jump on this team early, okay, you're keeping the fans in it, and you may be giving a team motivation. That's the interesting thing. They don't even have a bowl game to play for.
No.
Tennessee could possibly wind up in Orlando. Their bowl hopes are done in Florida. So if you jump on them early, do you think there's a chance they roll over?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, if you get into that first quarter and you put up, let's say, 21 points, you put 21-0 in the first quarter, there's going to be a lot of guys over there wearing Gator uniforms that are like, all right, I'm done. There's nothing I have to earn here. We're going to get creamed in this one. It is what it is. We'll move on. I'll probably be at a different place come December. But, I mean, you saw it in the Ole Miss game last week. Ole Miss got a 10-0 lead on them, and then just the fury came out of Florida, and they started scoring and giving them everything they got. If you let them get in a situation like that where they think, hey, we're in this, even though we're banged up, beat down, we're in this still because it's Tennessee, we don't like Tennessee, they're going to give us everything they got if they have the perception that they are in this football game. If we don't go down there, put our foot down and say, this is how this game's going to go, we're going to score the points and get out early, you're going to give a Florida team a lot of hope that says this is the same old Tennessee, we're going to go in here no matter what and take care of this business. And you can't let them have that false motivation and confidence going into this one.
Marlon, we're going to talk later, you and Ollie, we'll chat about the rivalry between Tennessee and Florida, but let's talk motivation going into this one. How many of these guys are hurt? How many choose to play hurt? Is there a quit factor if one team jumps on the other? Just in terms of motivation, Tennessee can't make the playoffs, they can go to a good bowl game. Florida can't even go to a bowl game. Tennessee trying to break a streak that's 10 road games old down at the Swamp.
Yep.
Florida trying to keep that streak alive, but also they lost to Tennessee last year, so they probably want to get a little revenge there. Who, in your feeling, has the motivation edge this evening in Gainesville?
I think it's both teams, honestly. And here's the reason why. You're on a streak of we've lost 10 straight there. Those players have heard that all week. They know also they just came off an Ole Miss game where they took them tooth and nail. That team's probably going to the playoff. A couple of things go a different way. We win that football game. So they're going to be motivated anyways because it's Tennessee and based off what they just got done playing for and how that game ended. And then on the same side, you flip it over to the other side, Tennessee, it is Florida. We know the streak. Everybody knows the streak. It's going around the complex. Those guys, even that haven't even played for Tennessee last year, that's new to the team, they know what the streak is. They also understand that this is Florida week. We've got to compete. We haven't won this game in 10 years. So that extra motivation is there. I will give the edge to Tennessee, and here's the reason why. The fact that you are playing Florida so late in the season. Usually when you play Florida, it's the third game of the season. They're motivated. It's humid. It's hot. The fans are a little bit more into it. I think right now the fans are probably a little bit more into who our next coach is going to be next year. And so that's an edge for Tennessee, and I think that's something we got to take advantage of going into Saturday's game.
Agree with that. The only thing I worry about, I don't like the fact they moved this to a 7:30 start because it gives Florida fans a little more time to get liquored up.
Yep.
I mean, and that's just the way of these SEC stadiums. Night games get a little rowdier, and there's a liquid reason for that. John, your thoughts on the motivation thing?
Well, I agree with what Marlon said as well as what Ollie was pointing to, and I do think that Tennessee wants to finish strong. 9 wins, as you talked about. You get to go to a really nice bowl game. If Florida, I mean, they finish not just only at home back-to-back games, but it's Tennessee this week and it's Florida State next week. If there's anything that can take a little of the sting, they can't remove the stink, but a little bit of the sting from this season, it would be finishing with wins over the Vols and the Seminoles. Now, if you do jump out to an early start, if Tennessee if Tennessee gets out to a 21-0 lead, something along those lines, then it's not a long journey to go from liquid courage to really cranky.
Yeah.
If you get the fans to turn on them, then that might be a different atmosphere altogether.
Good point. Let's talk about things that have flipped of late. The Tim MVP this year has been Joey Aguilar. He's without him, it was a good find. He's come in, he did a good job. Great job by Heupel and his staff to get a guy up to speed as quickly as they did. However, I've got some stats I'll put on the screen for you right now. In the Vols' first 8 games, well, let me give you this. In the SEC this year, quarterbacks have thrown an interception once every 43 passes. Once every 43 passes. That's across the league. For the first 8 games, Aguilar threw an interception once every 42 passes. So right on the average.
Yeah.
In his last 2 games, he's thrown 4 interceptions. That's an interception every 17 attempts. Something has taken him from SEC Joey back to Sunbelt Joey, where he threw a lot of picks. Ollie, how concerned are you tonight? To me, a lot of this comes down to the injuries and Joey Aguilar. Does he take care of the football?
Yeah, that's been a big concern for me. It feels like as of late, I don't know if it's maybe he's got hit a couple more times than he did earlier in the season. And I think some of his mechanics have somewhat gotten rushed. But, early in the season when he had some picks, it was like, oh, well, the wide receiver could have done a better effort to break that one up, or so-and-so could have done something else.
Yeah, one of those.
The ones of recent have been, wow, you can't do that. That's especially the 2 against New Mexico State. I mean, what are we doing? We're playing New Mexico State. We should not be throwing interceptions. So it's going to come down. That's a very big storyline for tonight, just to see, because obviously both sides have the ability to turn the ball over.
Because Lagway doesn't take care of it either. He's got 13 interceptions.
You want to hope that he cleans it up. And look, the big responsibility is now falling on this offensive line. You take out a piece like Wendell Moy, how's that going to affect him? Is he going to have enough time to process back there? Because, look, Florida's got a decent defense. And they always love pinning their ears back to come harass whatever Tennessee quarterback is back there. So it's going to be a big job on that offensive line to make Joey feel comfortable, because I think when he's comfortable, he's on. But when he gets rattled a couple times, especially that Oklahoma game, he got rattled a couple times, the wheels started to fall off a little bit.
There aren't a lot of quarterbacks who like pressure.
No.
Pressure busts pipes.
Yes.
There's a lot of quarterbacks they used to talk about, well, this guy doesn't like to get hit. Find me the quarterback that likes to get hit, and I'll show you a guy who probably doesn't have a high passing percentage. So, it is a concern. They are getting pressure on him, and he's gotten a little loose with the football, including, and you got about 15 seconds here, 20 seconds here. They got him twice in the last 2 weeks. Oklahoma got him, and then New Mexico State got him, where he didn't see a safety rotating over.
I think he's starting to lose trust in his offensive line. Again, no quarterback likes to get hit, but we also see that he's starting to rush up his mechanics. I don't see him as smooth in the pocket anymore, taking his time, finding where he needs to find. He's feeling a lot rushed. That offensive line, I think the shuffling, injuries are starting to get to him. And so I think that's a big thing. I think whichever quarterbacks handle that pressure the best tonight is going to win the football game. And so I think we got to keep him protected.
All right, very good, guys. We'll be back with you guys a little bit later, coming up next here on the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. I do too many shows. I can't keep them straight. We've got the scouting report. We've got 3 people who are going to break down that Florida offense, including their turnover guy, DJ Lagway. Come on back on the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. That's the name. Welcome back to the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. This segment of our program is called the Scouting Report, getting you ready for the Florida Gators. We send it across the studio to Paige Dower and her team right now.
Thanks, John. We'll turn our attention now to the bar set, where we have Ryan Callahan of Go Vols 24/7 and then Vince Farrar of 99.1, the Sports Animal. Interesting matchup, night game in the Swamp, Tennessee, Florida. Quarterback's always an interesting area to start, and when you get to DJ Lagway, he might be one of the quarterbacks who are as hot and cold as we'll see in the SEC.
Yeah, no question. Leads the conference in interceptions, 13 picks this year. A lot of expectations for him going into the year. This is, expected a guy who was thought by a lot of people to be one of the maybe 3 best quarterbacks in the conference going into the year. He has not played at that level at all. And that's probably the biggest reason Florida is where it is right now, because Lagway has disappointed. Now, he's not been healthy, and that's part of the problem here. So is he at 100%? What's been the main reason for his struggles this year? Hard to say, but the bottom line is this team around him maybe hasn't given him enough help. He's not developed the way he needs to, and he hasn't been healthy, and it all adds up to 12 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and a lot of hot and cold play. Tennessee's obviously got to disrupt him, keep him off his game. If you let him sit back there in the pocket and make good throws, he's capable of making them, and Tennessee's got to make sure that doesn't happen.
And he's had his moments in making plays against Georgia and last week against Ole Miss as well, especially when they got off to a really good start in both of those games. So that's the thing, is he has been highly inconsistent. He's a total X factor, but he's got the ability. And is this the game he's going to put it together? We've seen some other offenses peak against Tennessee's defense, especially in the red zone and some other areas. So, he's scary from that standpoint because the ability is there.
What I think might be interesting in this matchup, too, when you look at the quarterback in DJ Lagway, is how often he gives the ball away with those interceptions and how opportunistic Tennessee's defense is with their ability to have those takeaways. And maybe that ends up being the difference maker in that point.
Yeah, they've got to disrupt him. And again, getting some turnovers. Tennessee's been turning the ball over a bit too much lately. That's one of the, another one of the keys to this game. Joey Aguilar's got to do his part. But certainly, DJ Lagway, again, we've talked about it. Tennessee's secondary has struggled all year. You're not going to get Jermod McCoy back for this game. So not any help coming in the secondary. You've got to give them some help up front and get to DJ Lagway, keep him rattled and not let him get comfortable back there in the pocket.
And I think beyond just the pass game, I think for the Florida Gators, their offense is powered by what they can do in the ground game, especially with one particular player kind of taking care of all of their rush yards.
And I think he is connected to DJ Lagway and Jayden Ball. He's their best player, or has been their most consistent on offense. There's times this year where I was wondering, why don't they run the ball more? Why don't they give this guy the ball, give him the rock? And they haven't, but he's been very productive when they use him. He's good and catch the ball out of the backfield. And so he is going to be difficult for Tennessee. Plus, Florida does a lot of stuff in forcing you to, with motions, different formations, things like that. They force you to be disciplined on defense. Tennessee's linebackers, aggressive, maybe don't always get in the right gap. So that could open up some opportunities. So Tennessee's got to be really good against Ball. He's one where he's running the ball. It'll open up that play action and make some of those passing windows easier for Lagway. So I think he's a big key to helping Lagway too.
Longtime fans might remember that, for years you would see the stat, whoever rushes for more yards in this game wins 90% of the time or whatever. I think we're past that point, but still it's a big deal. And every time Florida runs the ball well against Tennessee, it seems to bode well for their chances of winning this game. So I think it's a big deal. Tennessee's stopping Jayden Ball from having the type of game he's capable of having, about 800 rushing yards this year, so he's got a chance at 1,000. Really productive runner and a guy Tennessee recruited a little bit coming out of high school. I think he was at the 2022 Alabama game and ended up out there on the field in the middle of that field storming. But yeah, definitely a guy that Tennessee has to make sure they slow down in this game. And they've not done a great job stopping the run. Oklahoma, that's where they were able to win the game. They couldn't stop whoever it was, John Mateer, whoever, when they knew it was coming in the fourth quarter, they could not make those stops. They've got to do that consistently in this game.
That might be the key part, because even when they know for the Tennessee's defense who that running back is or who gets the most carries, they've struggled to stop just that one player. You could specifically also look at Mississippi State, and for Ball, he has about 60% of the total rush yards for the team. So being able to stop him, who has about 6 or so touchdowns on the year, will be massive. But one thing that I think could spark this Florida Gators team heading into the night game in the Swamp is who might be coming back from injury, and it's Caleb Banks, who could have gone to the NFL a year ago. He was a high draft prospect a year ago, played just one game this season, and understanding that he might come back, I think for all the conversations that maybe this is a down Florida team and they've had their last dance maybe against Ole Miss or Georgia, having someone like that on the defensive line come back could be huge. Yeah,
it's a little surprising that a guy like this is coming back given the circumstances. I mean, Florida's 3-7, can't even really play for a bowl game, but a chance to play against two rivals, and after playing 29 snaps all season, mostly against LSU, he's not worried about that. He's coming back and he's ready to play, and it sounds like they expect him to make an impact in this game. Now, is he 100%? Does he have to knock off some rust? Hard to say, but this is a 330-pound guy that had 4.5 sacks and 29 pressures, led the team in that category last year. That's a concern for Tennessee, especially when Wendell Moy's health is a concern. The interior line's been a little bit vulnerable to the pass rush. This is a big guy you've got to account for up front. This is not a great development in my mind that Florida's starting to get healthy at a couple spots at the wrong time.
Yeah, big list of guys that are out, but then this is kind of a jolt for them the other way. And they don't have a ton, as you know from the recruiting standpoint, they don't have a ton of those high-level, or as many as they used to, high-level recruits and then projected high picks. He is one of them that gives them that talent and, like you said, that size. So he'll be tough to deal with on that Florida defense.
Yeah, when we come back, we're going to go to our VFLs who give us the inside word on how heated this rivalry is with the Gators.
Welcome back to the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. This segment of our show is called Volunteer Views. It's brought to you by VFL Daniel Hood and Daniel Hood Roofing. You know, they've recently switched to Owens Corning, which allows them to pass those savings along to you. Their new roof prices are at a 3-year low. Whether you need a new roof or a repair roof, get in touch with Daniel Hood at danielhood.net for Daniel Hood Roofing in East Tennessee or Middle Tennessee, wherever. All right, back with VFL's Ollie Lane and Marlon Walls, and I want to talk to you about the Tennessee-Florida rivalry. You know, I'm older than you guys, obviously. Nobody's surprised, I don't think. But I grew up with an Alabama rivalry where there was a dislike, clearly, but also a mutual respect, because both of those programs, they've played for a century. They have both been to the mountaintop of college football. They're two of the top 10 winningest teams ever. There's a level of respect. Even though you want to beat them and you can't stand each other, there's a certain level of respect. I don't think I've ever picked up on that with Florida. Whether it was Steve Spurrier mocking the Volunteers after a victory, whether it was the Gator chomp at some point, or Tennessee doing it back at Florida. Is it true? Is that just my perception? Or in your view, is that Tennessee's most hostile, disrespectful rival, Tennessee-Florida?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, look, you put it right on the point. There is respect between us and Alabama. I mean, we've both been at the top. We both kind of ran the show for a while, different decades. With Florida, it's just straight up hatred. I mean, I don't like Florida. You ask anybody in that locker room, they don't like Florida. You ask anybody at Florida, they don't like Tennessee. And, I mean, you've heard them in their press conferences this week. Even though they're having one of the worst seasons they probably ever had, they still have the confidence to go and say whatever they want to about us. So that just feeds into the hatred. I mean, multiple times throughout my childhood and into my career at UT, I just remember always feeling that passionate burn that I want to beat the Gators so bad. I only got to do it one time, which sucks. But at the end of the day, you feel that, and that feeds into the next classes that come into there. Even if it's just a one-and-done guy that's in that program, they're going to find out by the end of it, no, we don't like Florida. We don't like Florida at all.
Marlon, you agree with that?
Hate them. Hate them. Can't stand them. Hate the colors. Hate their fan base. I'll tell you my personal experience. It came down to Ole Miss, Florida, Auburn, and Tennessee. When I committed to Tennessee, I never forget Charlie Strong, then their defense coordinator, called me and said, "Dude, are you sure you want to go to Tennessee?" And so I was like, man, whoa, you know. And then he's like, man, they're not very good, and we just want. And it's just like, so it started super early on, and then I would even tell you as well, even me playing versus Florida. There was a guy, one of their fans, put together something on YouTube about like, hey, how Marlon Walls is a dirty player. When I hit Jeff Driscoll and broke his leg, and I think I hit a running back and he hurt his ribs. And like literally there's this whole cut up of how like I'm a dirty football player. And I'm like, I appreciate the recognition, but I ain't trying to hurt nobody. But like it's a long, passionate disrespect between the two schools that go back a long time. And I wasn't around the Sperry years, but like you could literally feel that when you go play in Gainesville with the fan response. And it's most definitely our most hated rival.
On the field, is there more trash talk?
No doubt.
Oh yeah.
No doubt. Constantly trash talk between yourself and the opposing team. And so again, that's the reason why I say like this week is always a special week, because that hate, it carries over. Like we literally do not like each other. The conversations on the field, or the conversations between the coaching staffs, it's always been an ugly rivalry.
Well, when you played, you had Lane Kiffin was actually jawing with Takeo Spikes.
Yeah.
So you got any other any stories that you could repeat on television?
I will say that this is my first taste of SEC football, and then I realized it wasn't in every place. It's literally just in Gainesville. My freshman year, Lane Kiffin's going back and forth with their middle linebacker. I don't know when a coach talks back and forth, but
that's Lane Kiffin.
That was Lane. But anyways, we drive into Gainesville, and we've got our detail that kind of escorting us. It's like the detail stopped when we got close to the stadium. The fans start pushing on the bus. One guy tried to relieve himself on the back of the bus. Yeah, and so it's just like we're sitting there watching. I'm like, man, this is crazy. But I realized this is only in Gainesville, so it's a long history of hate.
Ollie, any stories you can share from on the field? yapping?
I remember just constantly getting something in my ear. I remember that year in 23 I was playing center, so obviously I'm the front of all the conversation.
It's the Joe Milton game down there.
Yeah, they decided to put the 400-pound nose on me over the whole game, and he just would not stop talking. I'm trying to get a call out, he's trying to interrupt me, he's saying this or that, and then by the time that game gets out of hand, they let you have it. They let you know that you blew that one.
Let me ask you this. For the streak, I mean, 10 in a row, lost down there at Gainesville, but teams now are made up by guys who start their career at New Mexico State, then they go to Duke, then they come to Tennessee. I mean, how much is Star Thomas going to know that history and care about that history? And you can tell me I'm wrong, but does that culture seep in and impact even guys who are coming here at the last minute as transfers, or is that angle of it, the streak thing, more about the fans?
I definitely think it does get feeded into those players because look, everybody in that complex knows it. Everybody in the building knows it. They talk about it. I remember in 23 we're down there and I'm getting popped by the chiropractor. He's like, yeah, I remember I was down here the last time we won in 2003. And just gave me that little tidbit right before we go out on the field. So it's talked about. Yeah. People know about it. And especially as a player, that's something that you take that as a hit against you. Any of these teams in the last 10 years have not gone down there and beat them. Yeah. You take it as a sense of pride to be, hey, we're going to be the team that ends it, and that's going to be our high note on that one.
You agree, Marlon?
I think even in this era, it rolls over into the players just because, I can remember like the equipment staff when I was a freshman on the Tennessee campus. Hey, we hate Florida. We don't like Florida. And so it starts to pick over into you. And then also, like you said, stuff that's come out in the media where Florida thinks, hey, it's Tennessee. We always beat Tennessee. And so that always rolls over. So I think even these guys will get a touch of that hate and that rivalry and how special this game is.
All right. Thanks, guys. When we come back, we got some numbers you haven't seen anywhere else, I promise you. We go by the numbers as we break down this game with some prop bets. Then we'll be back with these two guys as we discuss the keys to victory. We've got predictions coming your way. Stick with us on the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. Welcome back in to the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. This segment of our show is called By the Numbers. Tyler Ivins and his crew are going to get you ready for the game with some prop bets.
John Pennington, appreciate it as always. Inside the Numbers with the boys here. Ryan Callahan from Go Vols 24/7. My co-host Will West from 99.1, the Sports Animal, as we're going to talk Gators and Vols. Gentlemen, I don't know if you've heard, Tennessee hasn't won a game in the Swamps 2003. Cool. These numbers, though, I don't know if there is a better opportunity for Tennessee to end the 10-game losing streak in Gainesville than what we have for them today. Ryan, get us started. From 2021 to 2024, Josh Heupel's team, well, they've rushed for an average of 203, 215, 167, and 192. Those are against SEC opponents. But this year, they're just averaging 138 yards on the ground against those SEC foes. You still following me? So I want to set a number. Over under 149 yards on the ground. Do they accomplish that at Ben Hill Griffith Stadium against the Gators?
The great number, by the way. I'm going to say under, and it's really close. I think they're going to be right at this number. I think they'll be probably around 140, 135. I think is where they end up. I think they'll run the ball pretty well, but not outstandingly well, and that's in line with what they've done this season. They've kind of struggled to run it against a lot of teams, but especially SEC teams and especially on the road.
Ryan, I'm going to have to categorically agree with you. Yes, it's going to be under in this one. I think the offensive line is banged up. Your long run for Deshaun Bishop and Peyton was 14 yards against New Mexico State. I'm going to have to say the under on that one.
There's not much I can add to it. I'm going to sweep this because I think there are some injuries on the offensive line. When you saw Moy hit the deck in the game against New Mexico State, some of the things that we're learning about just how much these guys are having to grit now, game 11 of 12. Again, I believe that Florida understands they need to stop the run, and I think they will accomplish that because of some of the things we just brought up. Will, let's get started with you. I want to talk about Tennessee's quarterback. Joey Aguilar is tied for second in the SEC. He's thrown 10 interceptions this season, but the only guy to throw more? Counterpart. How about DJ Lagway at Florida? He has thrown 13. So let's take Aguilar, let's take Lagway, and I want to set total interceptions by both right-handers at 3.5 tonight.
Florida and Tennessee quarterbacks over 3.5, under 3.5 interceptions.
I'm going to take the under on this one. I don't think either of these secondaries are good enough to force a lot of turnovers if they need to, and I don't think either of these pass rushes are going to do a good enough job getting to the quarterbacks to force those turnovers. So because of that, give me 3 turnovers, not 3.5.
I was going to say this is an aggressive number, but it's a fittingly aggressive number. I'm going to go slightly under. I'll take 3. I don't know that they get to 4. Lagway is going to have at least 1. Aguilar, I think, will have probably 1. Do they each get to 2? I mean, they're capable of that on the right day, but like you said, I'm not sure these secondaries are quite good enough to victimize these quarterbacks multiple times, and I'm not sure this pass rush quite aggressive enough.
I think that this is an aggressive number that I would take full advantage of. If you were allowed to do team or player props in the state of Tennessee, I'd hammer the under on this one. Do you know during the 10-game losing streak, Tennessee has turned the football over 19 times against Florida?
I believe it.
Now, one of those is skewed because it was a 6-turnover game, but the point is Tennessee's averaging 2 turnovers every trip down to Gainesville every other year. I think Tennessee buttons it up in this game. I'll tell you more about that when we get to our score prediction. Back to you, Ryan. Tennessee, dead last in the SEC. That's 16 of 16 in red zone touchdown defense. We've talked about that a few times on this segment. The Vols have allowed a touchdown 79% of the time when the opponents reach the end zone. That's 27 touchdowns in 34 trips. So, Ryan, over under 2.5 red zone touchdowns for the Gators offense tonight.
I'm going to say under. I don't know that Florida's going to score just a ton of points in this game. I think it's possible if they do, one of these could be a little bit longer score or a defensive score or something different. You know, wacky stuff tends to happen in this game. So I'll take under. I'll say they'll just score a couple in the red zone, but to your point, I don't know if they're going to make a lot of stops in the red zone. It's just Florida might not get down there a ton.
Yeah, Tennessee doesn't allow a lot of splash plays. They just get consistently ran through. And I think Florida will be a team that consistently runs through them. They've scored 21 points or more against most opponents that they've faced this year. I'm going to say Florida gets over that number.
Yeah, out of all the numbers when we were presented with this during the pregame, when we were getting ready for the segment, I went, how quickly can we get to question number 3? This is a big one. Until Tennessee could show me that they could stop a team once they get within 20 yards, then I'll believe it. Just like winning in the swamp. I think these two will go hand in hand tonight. I think Florida, they get a lot of their action in the end zone within the red zone. We'll wrap us up here. I just brought up the 10-game losing streak dating back to 2005 in Gainesville. Over that 10-game losing streak, the Volunteers have scored an average of just 16 points. All right? They haven't scored 30 in Gainesville since the 34-32 rescheduled 9/11 game in 2001. So, how about we set our own unique team total tonight? Over under 26.5 points for the Vols tonight at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium.
Very slightly over. Very, very, very slightly over. So could they be under? Yes, but I have this score just slightly over that, so I'm going to say they do go over that.
It's another good number. I'm going to take the over, and that will probably hint at the direction I'm leaning with my pick. I could absolutely see Tennessee finishing under this number, though, to your point. I mean, Tennessee they haven't scored 30 on the road against anybody besides Kentucky this year. We know they don't play their best at the Swamp traditionally. This could easily hit the under. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say over.
Before this number came out Sunday afternoon, I just said it was almost like looking at my alphabet soup. 27 points for Tennessee. And now this number gets set at 26.5. No matter where you find your team totals, no matter what sports book, but here on the Sports Source, Saturday Kickoff, 26.5. Perfect number. Yes, I think the Vols do get 27 points. That'll be reflective whenever we have our score predictions. Gentlemen, appreciate it. When we come back, how do we stop talking about 2005? How do the Vols officially end the losing streak and get back on track in Gainesville? They'll tell you next here on the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff.
Welcome back to the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. Time for a segment we call The Keys to Victory. It's brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Folks, they have an enormous selection of boats. They have tremendous pricing. They have the best customer service in the world. There's a reason I've said for 20-something years there's no better place to buy a boat, because it's true. People order boats from Madisonville Marine to have them shipped to Florida, Texas, California. Why would you do that if it wasn't the best selection and the best prices? madmarine.com to learn more. All right. What are the keys for the Vols tonight? I'll get us going. I've been beating on this drum for the last couple of weeks. Said it earlier, fast start. You have to get off to a fast start. Not saying you can't win if it's some sort of 7-7 game coming out of the first quarter, but I'm going to be worried if it's 7-7 coming out of the first quarter. You need to jump on them early, hopefully take a little edge off the fans, take a little edge off their team, get a few guys to say, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
Get off to a fast start. That's my number one issue. What else you got, guys?
Part of getting to that fast start is you're going to have to establish the run game in this one. It's crucial. Look, we can't keep chalking it up to, hey, Joey and the wide receivers do everything for us. We're going to need our running game to really come alive in this one. And to me, this is a game where, hey, Deshaun Bishop, you're going to keep running the football until you tell me you can't take anymore. You're going to need to get to carry 20, 25, because especially now when you got probable, or was it questionable for Peyton? So now you're already down a back. You're probably not going to use Dwayne Morris that much in this game just because of where he's at in his development train. You've got to either enhance the rep count for a Deshaun Bishop or a Star Thomas because this running game has to take off in this one.
I'd like to see him throw the ball to Star Thomas.
That'll be nice. That'll be nice.
What do you got, guys?
I would say my big key to the game is, or victory is, you need your defense to be what your defense has been. If you can get the Oklahoma version, that's great. But what I mean by that is you're going to have a couple turnovers. Sack, fumble here, get those guys to show up on the edge, maybe a pick, interception there. But you're going to need to win the turnover battle in order for this game to be close or for you to take off with this football game.
Yeah, so you got to get turnovers, but you also need Aguilar to start protecting the ball a little bit better. What do you got, John?
I think something that would feed right into what Marlon's talking about is get to the quarterback. Hit him as much as you possibly can and make sure that you move him from his spot, and at the same time, don't let him break free. I mean, I know it's a fine line, but I just think that if Tennessee can get to Lagway and make him feel that he is running for his life, then I think you are going to see the mistakes start to accumulate.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see who lines up out there on the defensive side of the ball for the Vols. Does everyone we think will play? That's, again, we're at the time of year where there are going to be some business decisions, maybe on both teams, maybe on neither team. But I'm going to be very interested to see what the final injury report looks like and who's dressed out there for both teams tonight. I would also, so let's keep it with the defense right now. DJ Lagway, 12 touchdowns, 13 interceptions on the year. He is not a guy that you should be scared of. So the defensive backs had better play darn well. Don't turn him into a guy. We've all seen Florida play Tennessee, and you get quarterbacks who you scoff at going in, and then they have their game of the year when they play the Vols. You can't turn this into, wow, DJ Lagway. So that's why he's a 5-star. You know, they had the one deep ball long over the top against Ole Miss. You can't afford one or two of those tonight. Could be the difference between winning and losing. So the defensive backs have to play well tonight, even against a quarterback who's not that accurate, who doesn't throw for a ton of yards. You still got to perform and not make him better, not make him look better than he is. Any other options here?
I think a big one to focus on, too, is just the mental aspect of this game. Look, Florida's got nothing to lose. They got nothing to play for. They're going to try to get – yes, it's a bowl game. I know people don't value bowl games as they should, but Tennessee's got something to play for here. And so Florida's going to try to get in their psyche, try to crack them to do something stupid because that's what they always do, and there's hatred between them. As a Tennessee player, you cannot play into the mental games, the mental aspect of this thing. You got to come in locked in, focused on this is the mission, this is the objective. Nothing else matters.
So not a bunch of 15-yard penalties,
no.
Personal fouls.
No, you can't have
penalties.
those.
But we're all on the road.
Yes.
And we know that Josh Heupel's offense doesn't always travel as well as some in the league. It's not like it's a bad offense. It's just clearly not as good as it is at home. There's no denying the numbers after 5 straight years, so that is a concern. And it will be interesting. It's another reason I think you brought it up early. If you get on this team early, maybe you help take the fans out of it. Maybe you turn them against their own team. Maybe they're chanting Lane Kiffin's name midway through the third quarter, which is a help for you. The who plays is an aspect. I'm trying to look at the other things that I had marked down here in terms of notes to finish. I'll give you one more. Boo Carter no longer on the team, dismissed. Okay, let's guess that most people on the team are okay with that. Now, every player has some friends on the team. There'll be some people that aren't happy about it, but let's hope that is a distraction gone rather than a distraction.
Yes.
But you're going to have somebody back there returning those punts. You cannot have a screw-up in the punt game tonight, which gets back to the turnover margin.
Yep.
Don't screw up special teams.
Can't give them one.
All right, very good. It's prediction time. When we come back, who are we taking, Vols or Gators? And how much are we taking it by? Close game, big win for anybody? We'll get into that next. 9 predictions coming your way on the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. welcome back to the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. This segment, we call it Who Wins and Why. It's prediction time. Brought to you by Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville on Callahan Drive. It's worth the drive from wherever you are because they will beat any offer on a new Kia made by anyone, anywhere. Okay, so if you buy a new Kia from anyone other than Rusty Wallace Kia of Knoxville on Callahan Drive, you're spending too much money. Rusty Wallace Kia, Callahan Drive. Let's get to the picks.
In this matchup between Tennessee and Florida, I think I'm going to have to take Florida in this one, and I think my final score will be 27-24. It's going to come down really probably to the last couple of minutes in the fourth quarter, and it might be because Joey Aguilar gives the ball away one too many times.
Wow, I thought I would be the only one to take Florida. I hate to do this, but there are a couple of reasons. Florida, 35-34. I think red zone. Florida's going to get an extra touchdown. Tennessee's going to have to settle for a couple of field goals in the red zone, I think. And then the other thing is Florida has 3 wins as unranked opponents over ranked opponents. One of them being Texas earlier this year, and then Ole Miss and LSU last year. They're good in this situation. Obviously, the streak in the series as well.
I'll take Tennessee 31-24, and I don't feel all that confident in it. That's the crazy thing. After last week, Ole Miss on the ropes. They're down in the fourth quarter against Florida at home. I just think this game being at the Swamp at night, really dangerous for Tennessee. I'm going to put a little more faith in Joey Aguilar that he won't turn it over quite the same way he has in some recent games. I think Tennessee pulls out a really close one.
Florida 31, Tennessee 27. My name is Tyler Ivins. I was born and raised in Knoxville, Tennessee. I hate the University of Florida. Until they win a football game in Gainesville, I'm not going to pick them to win this football game. I think the Joey Aguilar interceptions is a real problem. This offensive line is beat up, and the red zone defense that we've already tackled with Ryan Callahan is a real problem. Gators 31, Vols 27.
Tennessee 27, Florida 23.
Yes.
Because I'm never going to learn my lesson. Part of that, I've watched every Florida game this week, and I just can't help but look at how horrible that offense is and how stupid their play calling is. So I don't think Florida's laid down. I'm concerned Tennessee's going to lay down if things get tough. But everyone around the program saying they're not, saying that they still have the fight. They just played down to New Mexico State. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Florida's play calling is horrible. I think Tennessee beats them in a close one.
All right, thanks to that crew, we have 3 people taking Florida. We have 2 people taking Tennessee. Now it's time for our predictions. Ollie Lane, someone who's yet to pick against the Vols since joining the media. What are you doing here?
Well, I'm keeping the streak alive. I'm going with Tennessee. I got Tennessee winning this one 28-24. I think this will be a close-fought rivalry battle. Hopefully we get out to somewhat of a fast start lead to them, and hopefully my score is completely wrong because they blow them out. But I'm not going to fall. I know it's naive, it's gullible. We haven't won there in 10 years. Why would you pick Tennessee? If you're going to do it any other year, this is the best possible chance you have to break that 10-year streak and maybe start anew. So that's why I'm going with the Vols.
All right, very good. I'll take Florida 29-26. I think it's going to be close, but I made a pact on the Sunday show with Will Overstreet years ago that until I see it, I'm not picking Tennessee in Gainesville. So it's a bizarro score. I suspect it will be a bizarro game, 29-26 Gators. John, what are you doing?
Tennessee 27-21. I'm like you. I've thought the same thing so many times during this 20-plus year run, and that is you'll believe it when you see it, but I just think that Tennessee's going to find a way. I think you're going to get 2 different facets of the game that score, likely offense and defense, and so I just think in the end, Tennessee finishes just a few points better.
All right, Marlon Walls.
All right, I've got Tennessee 30-17. I got a big win here. I think it's tight, and I think we start to take off. And then also, I think my number one thing is the fact that you're getting Florida later on in the year. They don't have anything to play for. We still got a little motivation there, so I got 30-17.
Very good. That's I think you're the high water mark. Everybody else picks pretty much a close game. You got a double-digit victory for the Volunteers.
Yep.
How much do you think it's going to impact it? The fact that it is November and it's going to be 60s, 50s tonight. Heck, it's more Knoxville weather than it is Gainesville weather for football. Does that serve as I don't know, it's going to make a difference in the game, but it's got to help Tennessee to not go down there in the heat and humidity.
Yeah, most definitely. That heat and humidity it's a different deal. And then also, again, you're running into a Florida team that doesn't have a head coach. Don't know who the head coach is going to be later on in the year. Not a whole lot of motivation.
Yeah, I just worry because I could have said that before they gave Georgia and Ole Miss all they wanted. So we'll see. Do you think you like the fact they're not going to be playing the heat tonight? Is that a big advantage?
It does make a big advantage. I know every coach out there in the world is going to say, well, weather's a mentality. The temperature's a mentality. No, it's not. It actually affects you. So being able to play in some colder temps is going to be a lot nicer. So
All right, guys, thank you very much. Don't miss the Sports Source tomorrow, 11 a.m. on WATE 6 in Knoxville. We'll be breaking down the Florida game for 90 minutes and looking ahead to a big Vanderbilt game next week. You can also find the Sports Source Digital Network. We'll post the Sports Source there at about 3 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central. Or did I get that wrong? Yeah, I got that wrong. If you're in Central, you know what to look for. 4, 3, you'll figure it out. Sports Source Digital Network on YouTube. We will see you tomorrow either way. Thanks for watching. Good luck to the Vols.